This segment is sponsored by iChiro Clinics. Those fall leaves sure are beautiful out there, but pretty soon they're going to be dropping off the trees. We'll be taking our rakes and cleaning up the mess, dragging in the patio furniture and all of that. Dr. Michael Kwast is here, though, because he has a good warning. If you face mobility issues, you are tempting the fates. You could be injured by all that outdoor work, right, Dr. Kwast?
Yeah, we see that actually quite frequently right about now, where people will come in with problems from just doing minor, simple things. We had a lady just come in recently and she had hurt her back. She could barely walk. She come hobbling in. I said, "What did you do?" She said, "I bent down to pick a dandelion out of the yard." And I'm like, "Wow, like a 50-pound dandelion?" And she goes, "No, it was just a little tiny one." And I said, "Well, clearly that didn't do it." And when we did our evaluation, measured her hip range of motion, her knee range of motion, her back range of motion, meaning how well she bends and moves in those areas, she was very restricted. And that restriction or stiffness that she had um, predisposed her to then having the injury. So the stiffness was the cause of her hurting herself because as she went to bend, she was too stiff. So her back had to bend more. And then she pulled all the muscles in her back over a little tiny dandelion.
That is crazy. You have said before, though, that a lot of people don't really know that they have a restricted range of motion. You can measure that for people and then put together a plan to fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So most people don't realize they have mobility like restrictions because who's measuring that? I mean, when have you ever had that measured? It's usually called never, right? So by measuring that, we can find out where the person's problems are, even if they're not hurting. So for her, if she had been here the week before, we could have probably identified those stiff and tight areas, and then she could have been doing something about it. We work on those areas. Also, once we figure out what needs to be done, then you stretch and you do different exercises to change those mobility patterns that the person has, and then they're lower risk of getting hurt. Plus, the more mobile you are, the better the likelihood you're going to be able to continue to do the things you love without getting hurt, and then continue to move and bend as you go into your later years. As you
Mm.
get older and older, everyone's getting stiffer. If we can get it good now and keep it good and walk through that with you, the odds of you being a mobile old person are much higher.
Does that mean a kind of a long-term commitment to the work that you're doing with people?
Yeah, I mean,
It's not an in and out kind of a thing. We've talked about that before.
it's just a matter of changing the muscle and tissue and then watching and keeping track of things so that you actually know what needs to be done. Because a lot of people go, "Oh, I do all kinds of stretching." I mean, I just had a yoga master come in. She's
Mm.
stretching all the time, but we still found restricted ranges of motion she was unaware of. And then she's having problems because of those, even though she's stretching like crazy. Sometimes you just need to know where the problems are by actually measuring where the problems are at when you don't even know where they are, which
Yeah.
is what we're able to help with and then keep it good. And then obviously taking care of your body is always a good idea because it's the only one you get.
You get one chance at it. So, what does that look like, the fixing of the problem, the regaining mobility? What do you do with people, Dr. Quast?
Yeah, so once we find where a range of motion problem is, we have to change the muscles around, whether it's the spine, the joint of the hip or the knee or whatever the area is, shoulder. Once we find those immobilities, then we put a treatment plan together to change the muscles around those joints. And we have our different tools we use for that. We have stretching and exercises that we do for that. There's homework that you do for that. So using those tools, even massage therapy, we use that to help with that. So putting all these things together gives somebody the best odds of success of restoring the mobility and then preventing injuries, preventing arthritis, and then just giving yourself better odds of staying active and mobile today and into your older years.
Go ahead and pick the dandelion once you get all those things figured out. We want them to be able to do that. All right. For more information about Dr. Quast and his team or to book an appointment, visit iChiroClinics.com. Thanks, Dr. Quast.
Thank you.